crowd control, area denial, heavy incineration. Is there anything the Fires of Liberty can't do? Quartermaster Creature here. How well do you know our Promethean gift-spewing flamethrowers? Because everything burns, Diver, even you. But I'm going to give you the best tactics and practices to ensure that the enemies of freedom burn instead of you. The largest being the Flamethrower Flamethrower, a powerful stratagem-based support weapon. Medium is a fiery primary, the Flam 66 Torture. And last but certainly not least, with our smallest blaze belcher, the P72 Crisper Secondary. The Flamethrower Flamethrower is currently the heaviest piece of diver-wielded flame-spewing bot, bug and squid melting hardware available, thanks to being a support weapon. Damage-wise, our Flaming Hot Beauty here boasts a damage per second of 450, which may not sound like a lot, but I will tell you, it adds up. The flames fire forth with a 10-meter reach and will not be stopped by merely one enemy. Instead, it pierces through multiple targets, inflicting the same 450 damage per second to all who dare cross the wielder's path, giving it a monstrously high potential damage should the enemies of freedom be grouped up like the cowards they are. Additionally, the fuel expended will leave a fiery trail in the ground wherever the flamethrower is used, making it exceptionally powerful for crowd control and area denial. A little known aspect of this weapon is the pierce, as I mentioned prior. This can affect an enemy multiple times throughout its burning course. As such, the flamethrower has a potent use as a heavy roaster, as well as a crowd controller, being able to inflict damage through one side of your enemies to the other. And as I said prior, fire doesn't discriminate. Just as quickly as a Helldiver can fell their foes with flames of freedom, can they too fall to their own fiery ambitions. Proper care or armors with the inflammable passive are highly advised, as it's extremely easy for a diver to set themselves ablaze, along with squad mates. Diving is something that should be done frequently, but with great care, as diving backwards while firing the support weapon will ignite any diver. However, should you be lit up any other way, diving will quickly extinguish the flames and ensure you can keep on fighting. And despite its power, the flamethrower is not a tool I would advise for advancing and making ground with. Instead, let the enemies come to you and turn them to ash, lighting the ground ablaze as they strut through the corpses of their comrades before falling themselves to the might of humanity's oldest friend. As for enemy priority, my opinion is that no target is too big or small for the Flamethrower Flamethrower, as it comes with 4 canisters, 3 in reserve and 1 loaded. The time to destroy weaker enemies is negligible, though a diver's larger foes can take slightly longer to burn thanks to their increased size. Though the larger an enemy is, the more effective the damage over time of the flamethrower will be against it. Chargers, for example, will be roasted alive and fall still after about 7 seconds of flamethrowering. Impalers are able to withstand it for 8 seconds, though due to the increased size of them, they typically fall faster. Vital Titans can take the heat for roughly 14 seconds, though spraying them right in their face with the flames of freedom will destroy them far more swiftly. Automaton heavies wise, you can expect to down a Hulk in a surprisingly low 4 seconds, though this is not an easy task, as they likely won't just happily take your flames on the steel chin. Factory Striders will take 22 seconds of solid flaming to fail, which, even for an enemy of democracy, is quite impressive. You can speed this up by focusing your fire on their underbelly, but watch out for their twin miniguns in the front. To be perfectly honest, thanks to the Automaton's reliance on longer range tactics and the Flamethrower's lack of said range, I don't know if I can recommend the Flam 40 for this job. If you can make it work, then you are a braver Helldiver than me. Want to fry some calamari, Diver? Then this is the right tool for the job. But one single Illuminate boasts heavy armor, meaning the rest of these squids will fall devilishly quickly before the might of our flames. A flesh mob should take around 13 seconds to fry fully from the flamethrower, though lighting them up once and moving on to other targets is typically enough to beat them. Harvesters can be fried in around half that time, at just over 6 seconds, though be wary of their arc attacks and try to melt their center bodies from behind, if possible. As for recommended loadouts, the flamethrower fits wonderfully into many loadouts due to its versatility, but that doesn't mean we can't build around its strengths. For this support weapon, I would personally recommend medium and heavy inflammable armors for obvious reasons, with a backpack to help with mobility, such as the Lift 80 Jump Pack or 860 Hover Pack. Its strength at dealing with both heavy units and hordes of lesser enemies means a diver has many potential choices for primaries, though I would personally recommend something with some range to make up for the Flamethrowers' lack of it. The CB9 Exploding Crossbow or Plasmon Scorcher will serve to excellently round out the Flam 40's lackluster range, while also giving you even more crowd control and heavy failing capability. Similarly to its older brother, the Flam 40, the Flam 66 Torture is a formidable tool for handling just about any foe a diver might come across. Numbers-wise, the Torture can project a strong 380 damage per second to any enemy that comes within its range, though compared to its older brother, deals 16% less damage and holds 30% less fuel. But this sibling rivalry isn't just one-sided, as even with its lower damage and ammo capacity, the Torture is a more than versatile weapon. The smaller size of this fiery fiend means it occupies the primary weapon slot, unlike the Flamethrower, freeing up your support weapon for something with more range should the situation require it. Additionally, the Torture is lighter weight and thus handles better than the Flam 40, reloads faster, and has a larger total ammo pool with 5 reserve 125 fuel canisters and 1 already loaded, beating out its larger brother with a total fuel of 750 compared to the Flamethrower's 650. However, due to the fact that these are essentially the same weapon at different sizes, filling similar roles, they also have similar strengths and drawbacks. Crowd control and shaft clearing is where this machine shines, even more so than its older brother, and similarly to it, the Torture is able to fail heavy units, albeit slightly slower than the Flamethrower due to the lower damage. And once again, avoid firing, pun intended, the Torture when diving backwards, as you are extremely likely to light yourself ablaze. And I hope I don't need to mention taking care not to incinerate your teammates. Now, enemy priority. As with the Flam 40, nothing is able to resist the flames of freedom and the might of managed democracy for long. The Torture will light enemies ablaze in a similar amount of time and burn for just as long as the Flamethrower, doing the exact same damage over time should you leave them to writhe in their fiery fate. However, again, the lower base damage of the Torture will leave it outclassed by the Flamethrower for killing the big ones, which is why I would suggest using it to clear the hordes of small and medium-sized units a diver is bound to encounter, as well as scorching the floor for their friends to follow suit. With, of course, a supplementary role of heavy melting, should it tickle one's fancy, as the smaller ones will fall swiftly. While we're on the topic of heavies, chargers can be banished to their fiery graves in about 10 seconds of continuous fire from the Torture. Additionally, Impalers should take the same amount of time, though this can be sped up substantially by waiting for their vile faces to be exposed when they move to attack. 15 seconds is the time it would take to break a Bile Titan with the Torture, though once again I can wholeheartedly recommend using the Lift H60 Hover Pack to incinerate their faces off. As for the Automatons and their hefty hulks, the Torture can beat them in about 4 seconds of sustained scorching, though if possible, I would recommend aiming for their heat sinks, as they will fight back. Factory Striders will take, again, an impressively long time to beat at 26 seconds, though this process can be expedited by aiming for their weak underbellies. That just leaves the Illuminate, who once again cannot stand up to this fiery fiend for long before being reduced to wonderfully fried calamari. So flesh mobs, 15 seconds from the Torture. But lighting them up and moving on to other targets is usually sufficient. Harvesters will take the Torching for 7 seconds, assuming you're able to reach their cowardly main bodies. With the Torture taking up the primary weapon slot, that leaves us lots of room to play with loadout-wise. As mentioned prior, the Flam 66 is a more potent crowd controller than its older brother, in this Quartermaster's opinion. As such, for a build capable of dealing with anything thrown at a Helldiver, we should decide on armor first. Medium and light would be my choice for handling the Torture, leaning into its better handling to stay in the move as the enemies of freedom sprint through their fiery doom, chasing you down. Inflammable, once again, though for the diver that cares more about killing enemies than staying alive, Siege Ready will pair well with the Flam 66, allowing one to carry more fuel tanks and reload them faster, keeping you in the fight to burn the battlefield longer. As for backpacks and support weapons, I'd recommend your choice of Guard Dog, lead, gas or laser, though for those wanting to stay on the move, I would definitely recommend the Lift 850 Jump Pack, like prior, for a touch of extra speed. And as with the Flamethrower, range can be a problem, which is why, support weapon wise, I would suggest something to help with that and stop heavier units from closing in, such as the MG206 Heavy Machine Gun, EAT-17 Expendable Anti-Tank, MLS 4X Commando, or AP1 anti-material rifle. And while the two older siblings battle it out, often forgotten is the smallest of the trio, the P72 Crisper. But don't let its size fool you, nor its limited ammo capacity of 30, reserve mags of 4 and 1 loaded. The candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, as they say, and this little devil fills all sorts of niches and helps round out many a loadout, filling the secondary weapon slot. Despite its diminutive size, the Crisper deals the same damage per second as the Torture, which is 16% less than the Flamethrower. Purely personal opinion, the Crisper is my favourite of the trio. This handheld little dragon deals the exact same damage over time as the two prior flamers, meaning just a spray of flame is enough to set a crowd or the ground they walk on ablaze, along with heavy units. Additionally, it can be used one-handed, allowing a diver to slow the advance of the enemies of freedom as they make a tactical advancement in a different direction. I won't state it a third time, do not dive with flamethrowers, unless you're set on fire, in which case hug the earth and think of home to douse those flames, diver. As for enemies, you should primarily be focusing the smaller units that run up on you once your primary and support weapons run dry. I wouldn't suggest using the Crisper as your main democracy dealer, as the low capacity of the fuel canisters won't last you long and will need frequent reloads. Even with that said, some medium and heavy units can be scorched in a pinch, with a personal favourite use of this pocket dragon being against flesh mobs and chargers, as you can often outpace them while firing flame backwards. As the Crisper's damage is the same as the Torture, it downs heavies in the same amount of time, though it will need to be reloaded far more frequently. Chargers take 10 seconds of flame to fill, same as its older brother. Impalers, the same, though I would once again recommend shooting for their tentacled mugs. And 15 seconds for Bile Titans, though using the Lift 860 hoverpack is risky here, as when the Titan falls it can often collide with a Helldiver with lethal results. Caution is advised. Now, as much as I like the Crisper, I wouldn't use it against Hulks, other than as a complete last resort. It can down them in the same amount of time as the Torture, needing just 4 seconds, though that might require multiple reloads to keep the flames on target. And Factory Striders, again, absolute last resort. This Helldiver is a bad matchup, unfavourable to the Crisper in every regard. 26 seconds to destroy one, though if you're able, aim for the underbelly and Liberty bless your brave soul. The Crisper might just be the best out of the three here against the Illuminate, the small size making it very easy to wield and fire backwards while escaping a voteless horde. 15 seconds to fry and fell a flesh mob, though it can be done in the run for some extra fun. And 7 seconds for harvesters, if you can reach them, which the Crisper size doesn't help with. Now, to supplement our Crisper, as this won't be your primary tool and much more of a backup should your primary support stratagems and teammates be otherwise occupied, I won't be suggesting a build to make it shine. Instead, this baby helps other things shine, allowing rather focused builds to have a touch of variability and keep the enemy guessing. Personally, I find the Crisper is best suited in a heavy killer build, with support weapons such as the GR8 recoilless rifle, FAF-14 spear, and RS-422 railgun. These weapons are fearsome at simply removing heavy units from the battlefield equation, though are often wasted in anything smaller than a charger. This is where the Crisper comes in. Bug breach beside you? Crisper. Boltless horde chasing you down? Crisper. Flesh mobs giving you grief? Crisper. Hulk in your rear that won't leave you alone? Do I need to say it? I truly adore this little pocket dragon in its myriad of uses. With all this said, I hope I've informed you well on the performance aspects of our three sizes of flamethrowers. They all have their uses, even sharing them in some fields, though I'll summarise what I would personally use each for. Flam 40 is your firm statement of absolute intent that you will burn whatever enemies of democracy, be they big or small, dare cross your path, and you're committed to using flames to their fullest, freest potential. The Flam 66 is for those unwilling to commit to lugging around a hefty and short-range support weapon, instead filling their primary slot with such, enjoying more mobility and more build freedom because of it, yet still able to torch anything that stands in their way. And last but not least, The P72 crisper is for those that see the potential in fire, that would like something with an even smaller profile for arguably more precise and measured tasks compared to its larger brothers, which this fiery little fiend excels at. And with that, I think we'll call it here for now, Diver. Should you need any further weapon recommendations, my doors are always open. Quartermaster Creature, signing off. Hey, remember a like and subscribe. It always feels so awkward. Remember, can we get 2.8 billion likes on this video? Remember, watch me on Twitch as well. I stream Helldivers there too, and other games that I play, like I don't know, Battlefront, or I was gonna say Overwatch there, but not anymore. Good, I'm clean. I'm clean. Look, see, I'm fine. Right, okay, stop rambling. End the video. Right, go watch me on Twitch. Subscribe. Right, bye.